Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Monday. Happy Monday. My sincere apology. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I'm just going to go in and make sure we are rocking and rolling. Okay. So it is MS Awareness Week. Whether you are managing MS yourself, or perhaps you're caring or supporting someone who is dealing with MS. Today we're going to talk a few different technologies. I'm going to target, like I love to on my awareness days. I want to hone in more on symptoms and talk about different ways that you can manage symptoms. One of the big things when you're dealing with a condition like MS, it's pretty hard to exercise and work out when things hurt, or you have fatigue, or you have spasticity. So symptoms again are very individual to you as a person. It's not, it's not like spasticity only happens with MS. So a lot of the things that I like to go through in these sessions are probably applicable to a lot of different conditions. Give me 2 seconds here. Join me now. Okay, perfect. And if you are joining me today, let me know that you can see and hear me on the other end before I get into my ramblings here a little bit today. Yes, I woke up to the gift of an awesome workout today, which was about, I'm gonna be conservative and say a good 9 to 10 inches of snow. So I have a pile of few things here today, something I haven't talked about in a while. And I just had a couple conversations over the weekend, and I thought, I should pull out the cheat. I haven't talked about the cheat in a long time. So as I always say in my sessions, I'm just making sure I do have someone there. I wanted to make sure that things were coming through. Perfect. Okay. So with MS, there's lots of different symptoms, things like pain, stiffness, fatigue is a big one. Sensation, sensitivity issues, pins and needles, numb. Well, there you go. Sorry. I think I exited the building there for a little bit. We get this big yellow banner on the other end if we have somehow gotten a disruption in service, which I, of course, did. And it was probably because I was talking about all the snow that we got last night. So if you are joining me, thank you for joining me. I'm reconnecting here, I see now. For those of you that are on the other end, if you could just drop me a comment, say hi. If you are joining me today and you have MS, or you're supporting someone that is dealing with the symptoms, the many symptoms of MS, and I'm going to start over again on that. Today will be probably a little overwhelming, like many of my sessions are. But I want to talk to you about a few different technologies today. And what I was starting on before the internet died and got me out of my spiel there, is that if you're in pain and you're hurting all the time and things are stiff and you just lack the strength or the energy to even go make your breakfast, um, we all have the best of intentions and everybody thinks it's all about working out and using your vibration plate and going for a really long time. But when you're dealing with conditions like MS where fatigue is ever present, there's a little balance you got to be careful about, and you don't want to overdo it. And a lot of the research with MS is more about high intensity but short in duration. You don't want to do really, really long, drawn out durations, especially where you're increasing your body temperature. Heat sensitivities can be a big thing with MS. There's so many symptoms. We could do this for 3 days. If you're joining me and you have MS, I'd love to know what you're dealing with, and I am going to come back for some questions at the end of this. Common things with MS, spasticity. I deal with a lot of that in my cerebral palsy group as well. So those muscles hurt. The fascia that is encasing them is really stiff and tight. And this is worsened, of course, if you are stagnant in your day-to-day. Maybe you're in a desk job or you're standing too much or you're walking all the time. These can all contribute to the condition that is already affecting you at that level. I was talking about sensations. So you've got like pins and needles, numbness, heightened sensitivity. That's a common one that can present in different areas of the body. Fatigue I talked about. The result of many of these things is, you get down, you get depressed. There's cognitive memory, indecisiveness. It's tough to stay focused. So, all of these things that you have to deal with on top of, functioning just like every other human on this planet, it brings you down and it can make you depressed. So some of the therapies I want to talk about, we talk so often about the physical aspects of all the amazing technologies that Life Pros offers. I want to highlight or just reinforce maybe, that if you're mentally in a better place and you're feeling better about yourself, all of those things contribute to the pain scale, the getting up and moving and being active, or at least taking steps towards that. But if you're down on yourself, you're really depressed, you're dealing with stress at work and kids and life on top of that, sometimes it's hard to put yourself first, which is what you kind of need to do. You gotta be a little selfish, and self-care doesn't always mean it's a big thing that you got to do in the morning or the end of the day. Listen to your body. It's going to tell you, whether you're feeling stiff, whether that pain has increased, and depending on what your 9 to 5 looks like, there's things that I recommend as far as technologies in that home environment where you've got the time. You can spend a half hour vegging out on your red light mat or doing a vibration plate session. If you're in a work environment where you're physically away from your home for extended periods, or you travel lots, or you're just busy, sometimes selecting a tool to help manage your symptoms is something more portable, something light and rechargeable. So sometimes selecting the best technology to manage your symptoms isn't always, this study said that, or this, member said that. I want you, when I'm going through the different types of technologies, I did this last week with Lymph Awareness Week, and I got a lot of great feedback, and I want to encourage that today as well. If you are joining me, feel free to jump in. I'm talking about symptoms, and I'm about to break into different types of technologies. So when you have MS, probably the best thing that you can do, and it really depends on where you're starting at. Physically, if you're dealing with really severe pain or fatigue, your starting point's going to look a little different than someone perhaps that's maybe not as progressed, or has better care access, or just has been doing the care all along. So a vibration plate, a treadmill, an elliptical, going for a walk, different tools where you're doing exercise, weight bearing or partial weight bearing. I'm not going to give you a big lecture today on the benefits of remaining active for MS. But one of the big things you want to keep in mind is it's often recommended to train in bursts. So the reason I recommend the vibration plates, there's lots of ways to be active. The pool is a really great way to manage MS symptoms. It's a good activity. But as it reduces body weight, it's not always the best for the bone building and the muscle mass. So for exercise for MS, training in bursts, yes, you do need some cardio, but pay attention to the body temperature. If you're heat sensitive, which is a big thing in the MS community, you don't want to cause more inflammation, but you do want to remain active. So sometimes it's, more like you're doing high intensity and repetitions versus one big long duration. So break your use on your vibration plate, your treadmill, whatever your cardio is, break it into short intervals. Exercise is going to help with the spasticity. So that's, when you move, lymph moves, the spasticity equates to, tightness, in certain different areas, but, a lot of it is going to be in the legs. Many of you are suffering with restless leg and other things. So being active, or even just being more mindful about moving regularly. Exercise as a word can be so demotivating. So, when you move, lymph moves, which is going to help with the spasticity, the inflammation, all that other stuff. And stay cool. If you are, I touched briefly on heat. If you deal with a lot of heat issues, if you tend to overheat, sometimes you got to try different things, different routines, different exercise positions to find what's best for your personal tolerance. And, you don't want to excessively, overheat yourself. So, maybe you're working with some cold packs. If you're hypersensitive to heat and you're staying away from activities, one of the reasons a vibration plate is such a fantastic tool when you're dealing, especially with overheating issues, is if you're doing a little bit of effort. I'm not going to lie to you and say that if you just sit here and put your feet on it, or if you just stand on it, the machine's going to take care of it all for you. That might be where you start, but getting stronger legs, getting stronger glutes, getting stronger calves and arms and shoulders isn't just standing there and letting the machine shake you. It's doing functional positions. So squats, push-ups, lunges, things where those muscles are firing. And what happens when you do those things on a vibration plate is you get to fatigue much faster. So the better your technique, the more you're, pushing yourself versus just, kind of going through the motion, going faster, going wider. You're getting some forever benefits with a vibration plate. You're always getting that circulation, that lymph movement, an element of relaxation, better mood. But it's easy to overdo anything. So, if you're tapping out 5 minutes at the gym because the MS symptoms are taking over, you have no business doing max time on your vibration plate starting out. Think more symptom management. 1-2 minutes. See how you feel. You can always do a little more later. And listen to your body. You can also use your plate as a symptom management tool. So maybe you need some energy. The beauty of short burst sessions on a vibration plate, 1-2 minutes, especially when you're starting out. Once you get some experience under your belt, go nuts. But you got to figure out where you fit in, what your body's tolerance is. There's other things. Forget the MS. There's detoxification. There's increased circulation, blood flow. Maybe you've been constipated for 20 years. Maybe incontinence is an issue. There's a whole big, sphere of different symptoms. Movement and being active, we know, offers benefit. It's where you start and how you progress that becomes a little bit of an individual thing based on your current level of conditioning and your current symptoms. I see some comments. Hello, Gail. Hello, Pamela. Thank you. Pamela is just a new member today of the VIP group. So thank you for finding your way over. Oh, I should mention, if you're joining me today and you're trying to talk to me and I'm not paying attention to you, join me in the main Life Pro page. If you're in the VIP group and you're typing me comments on the event I just shared, you have to go into the event or go to the main Life Pro page, and I'll see the comments that way. I won't see them just as a share into the other page. Okay, so vibration plates. Yes, of course, I have a bias. And you should too. A vibration plate can be the exercise. It can also be the symptom management tool, why it's an advantage for folks with MS, or even caregivers. Maybe you're working with someone and you require to be physical in providing care to that person. Your back, your strength, your circulation, just those workplace things that happen when you're lifting and transferring and doing all those things that care providers do. Therapists, doctors, you could use a fix too, a minute or two to fix the back, boost the energy. Those short sessions are going to give you the energy. They're going to boost the cognitive function. And if you're feeling better about yourself, you're probably going to have a better, ripple effect in your other tasks, your other activities throughout the day. And after you've been using it a week or two, if you're a new user, I always recommend, especially if the symptoms are, kind of chronic and acute, keep it simple, but more often. So low intensity, close your feet, 1 to 2 minutes, and let the symptoms tell you when you need a fix. You need energy. The legs are cramping up. You got to go pick up your kids from school, and you want to make sure that you physically are able to do so. So build from there before you get too caught up in a big exercise routine, unless you're coming from a place of good conditioning now. So other things I want to step into category-wise, I want to have red light is a fantastic thing to consider. General use, but if you are very below baseline, something like this is not what you're prepared, or you've digressed to the point where you're very frail, balance is an issue, that tends to make you a little bit more fearful to get on the active train and a vibration plate, of course, accelerating the benefits of exercise. Maybe there's other ways that we can start making you move and heal and feel better. So red light and infrared, for that matter, if you haven't heard in one of the many sessions myself or Amber or Roseanne has talked about, it really kicks the mitochondria in the butt. So the mitochondria, the powerhouse in our cells, that energy, the mitochondria, if its function can be improved, it's going to make whatever the cell's job is, it's going to do its work better, more optimally. It boosts ATP production, which is, think of the fuel within your cell. So if it's boosting the fuel and there's more fuel available, guess what? You're going to have more energy. That's really a key thing if you have digressed and the symptoms are quite severe. So with red light, and we're going to break back off red light. It helps mobilize, modulate is a better word, your nerve functions. So with MS, nerve pain can be pretty severe. It can script the motor movements. There's nerves throughout your body can be affected in different ways. So it improves and modulates nerve function, targeting the underlying neuropathic mechanisms. So whatever it is that's a problem with the nerves, red light therapy is believed to, and there's quite a few studies on this, especially on the skin surface stuff. The infrared tends to go a little deeper into the skin, below the surface, more into the tissues. So a lot of Life Pros products offer both infrared and red light. Some of the findings research-wise are intertwined, but red light and infrared light have their own advantages as well. Red light has also been shown to reduce fatigue. So if you are coming from a very frail, very digressed place, sometimes if you're frail and you don't have a lot of help at home, red light tools, I talked about this earlier last week, hands-free tool. So a bulb, a panel. I did a session this weekend on, and there's a couple, there's also just a mat now that's available as well. This is the Aliva body. This is kind of like a sleeping bag that's all red lights, also offers infrared. So if laying down is where you've been spending a lot of your time because you've digressed and you've fatigued, maybe you need to consider something red light that can be administered while you're laying down. And the larger panels, the mats, the red light therapy wraps, they're going to be more of a total body treatment. And a lot of times with MS, it's not just one place, if you know what I mean. The panels are, I was showing in the last couple sessions, you can combine these with your activities if you're at that place. But for those of you that are, below baseline and trying to build up to get to other things, red light therapy is an amazingly passive way to not only boost the energy, but it's going to reduce the inflammation. We know it boosts the mitochondria function. There's lots of benefits from a healing perspective, with the side benefits, better cognitive, better mood, all those things. Stepping sideways a little bit to just infrared, the blanket would also be another really good tool. But the big difference with infrared versus red light, and I talked about it when I was talking about the vibration plate, is heat sensitivity. So if you are a heat sensitive person, and I'm going to get into so much trouble here, heat sensitive doesn't mean that everybody with MS cannot tolerate heat or shouldn't use it. It's one of those things you're going to have to use your own common sense about. And if you're going to try heat, especially in the form of infrared, it's very effective. It's a longer treatment. This is probably something that you would do more at home. You're not going to sweat in your office chair at the office. But, be conservative on your time and your temperature. You will not know if this is suitable for you unless you try it, quite honestly. If you are so adamant that you're heat sensitive and you haven't put your foot in the sun in 20 years because you react within 5 minutes, you got to find other ways to benefit from the light spectrum. And often what I find with a lot of my folks that have light sensitivities, heat sensitivities, you kind of figured out what works for you. You know what your tolerances are. Just adhere to those with these type of products as well. Maybe you're just doing the lower half of the body, or maybe you're just doing the arms. So there's all kinds of ways that you can experiment. And I think you may be surprised that the tolerance level is there. But do your homework. It's very much an individual thing. So the infrared blankets are amazing. They're affordable. It's an easy way to get into this technology without committing to the price tag of a box, just finding a big box sauna just to find out it's not for you and not for your budget. I really recommend the buyer, if you've been considering investing in a sauna, one of the domes that Life Pro offers, one of the bigger boxes, but you haven't done saunas in a while, this is a great way to get started out and just start receiving the benefits now, or experimenting with, what's suitable for you if you are dealing with MS. But I do have tons and tons and tons of clients that MS, all kinds, fibromyalgia, lymphedema, lipedema, where, you're not supposed to use heat. But for many of them that are trying to accelerate weight loss, detoxification, other things known to be associated with light therapies, you know what? Many of them are using them and have been for years, and they're just fine. But common sense has to prevail. So crossing over a bit, expanding on infrared, the PEMF mats, lots of benefits to PEMF, pretty similar in some respects to, boosting mitochondria function, reducing inflammation. If you wanted to look at the research and the medical side behind PEMF, many devices are toting the bone density, the accelerating of bone density issues. So it's a good way to very passively, perhaps, hint, hint, you're not able to bear weight, or it's going to be a long time before you are able to bear weight, and those bones are degressing every day. So if you have had recent fractures, you're recovering from one, you're just trying to maintain things until you're in a better position as far as bearing weight, PEMF technology is absolutely something you should look a little bit further into. And there's two sizes on this. There's the mini mat, there's the larger mat, and then the infrared dome sauna that Life Pro offers with, the name is escaping me, but I can see it right there. The mat that comes with that also has a PEMF function on each of those. Again, there's never any one product. I want you, as I'm going through these, thinking, okay, well, how can I use it? When am I actually going to be able to use it? And, think about what might best incorporate into your lifestyle. What else did I want to talk about? I mentioned at the beginning of the segment, I had a couple questions this weekend, and Life Pro has a pretty large suite of products, and they are ever, improving and bringing new ones to the market based on demands from you guys using them. One of the ones I haven't talked about in a long time, and I'm not going to say this is an MS tool. This is a chi machine that Life Pro had launched, the Medi Ripple. This came out a couple years back. Plugs into the wall. It's got a decent, I'm going to say 6-foot cord with this standard 2-prong plug. But moving is really critical. Last month I talked a lot about fascia and how important it was. Stiff fascia, spasticity, a lot of things we're talking about with MS today come from the inability to move or move in the fashion we'd like to regularly. And a lot of times when you're in pain and dealing with inflammation and all these other chronic symptoms, your body is stressing out. And as I said, sometimes it's very exhausting when you deal with chronic pain all the time. So the Medi Ripple is a really good, if you're not familiar with chi machines, this is something that you would do lying down and simply place the ankles in the device like this. And you would lay down on the ground, or I like using this on my bed, depending on how firm or soft your bed is. I just put a little piece of cardboard underneath it just to give it a little bit of stability. And it's a very soothing, very relaxing way to just get some good lymph flow going. Keep, certainly in the legs. There's a lot of school of thought as to why you should use chi machines. Everybody's got different opinions as far as what they're marketing. But for me, I find for a lot of my clients that maybe have digressed physically, whether that's due to the condition or they've had a recent injury or surgery, this is somewhat light enough. I forgot to mention it when I was standing here walking around with it, but it's got a nice little handle. If you don't have a lot of space, it stores away easily, and it's got to be under, I can look it up, it's under 12 pounds, I would think. But you could place it simply on your bed as a way to start getting moving, or maybe you're just sitting off the edge of the bed and just resting your feet on it to get a little bit of lateral movement into those legs. This is not something, of course, that I recommend you standing on, but it's a good tool to bridge the gap to the vibration plate. Life Pro's also got some great foot massagers, a bazillion different varieties. Again, look at the different features, but there's lots of ways that these devices can move you even when you have no ability to move yourself. I hope that makes sense. So whatever your potion, so there's lots of different choices out there. The big thing I like to talk about in these sessions, MS is a pretty prominent condition out there. There's a lot of common symptoms, but you're all individual people. You're all individual care providers. And when you're selecting a tool, maybe money is not a concern for you, or maybe you've got good coverage, or, but sometimes it's the simplest of tools that you find yourself using consistently. And the key with any of these, I know I'm going to nag you, I always do it, is consistently using them. So, picking the top product or the fanciest sauna, I want you guys looking at realistically what's going to incorporate into your lifestyle. What can you see yourself using and accessing regularly for those symptoms? And I honestly believe that the more proactive that you can be with your self-care, the more we can, I'm not allowed to say stop, but I have so many people that just have not seen those symptoms progress as they were because they started committing a little bit of time to the self-care. So don't deplete yourself. Work on the fatigue. There's lots of ways to boost that. And once you have a little bit more energy, a little bit more mental clarity, I think you'll feel very empowered to progress and perhaps take on other things going forward. And I've done a number of sessions on MS for Life Pro. Dr. Terry Walls, who Life Pro is proud to support, has also done a couple of blog articles. So I'm going to post some additional comments in the links for you, or links in the comments today after today's session, just for those of you that are dealing with this, that maybe want some more research, some links, things like that. And I do have a workout that I've done on the Life Pro's plates, specifically called the Dr. Walls protocol. So I'll share that as something that you could, for those of you that are using vibration plates. I wanted to talk multi-tool today, but for those of you that are using a vibration plate, or considering using a vibration plate to manage your MS, maybe get some fitness gains, Now that you know you can use it for both symptoms and exercise benefits, I'll drop that link over as well so you guys can follow along and see that workout I did a couple of years back for her. I'm going to join you and see if we have any questions. So yes, I know I have Pamela. I know I have Gail. Whether you are aware or not, Life Pro, you know, they've always got some good deal on in some way, shape, or form. This morning I thought I was going to be proactive and say, okay, these are the top things that I recommend, and these are the ones that are on sale. But things are moving, and I noticed a few out of stocks this morning. So I would suggest if you are considering something from Life Pro, that dropping sooner than later, up to 50% off site-wide, free gift. I wouldn't say by any means everything is 50% off, but there's some pretty good 40, 50 close deals that you should take a closer look at. This time of year, it gets into an inventory situation as well. So if you've been holding out and considering something, I suggest you take a look sooner than later. I'm going to drop the link for that in here so you've got it. And any of these products, you know, if you are using certain Life Pro products now, and I get asked a lot about combining different therapies, different technologies, and I'm absolutely a big fan of that. Sometimes combining technologies is a really passive way to progress. The body gets used to anything after a period of time. So if you are just doing the same routine all the time, you know, you may be maintaining, but you know, I want to change the curve and break the mold and have you improve, because I've just seen it so many times, and consistency of you showing up is key for those good days and those bad days. You know, don't beat yourself up if you are working out and doing things regularly and you have a day that is taken from you, is how I refer to them. You know, sometimes the mind is willing, but the body's not cooperating. So the good thing about experimenting with other technologies, combining them, is you know, on those days when you are having, let's say, a bad or an off day, instead of doing, you know, I can't do my self-care now, or I can't do my routine, but, you know, switch gears, modify. There's always a way that you can at least get yourself some energy, you know, get some better sleep. Perhaps, you know, that restless leg kept you up all night because you couldn't do 2 minutes on your vibration machine before you went to bed. Choose you more often. And, you know, I know life sometimes gets in the way, certainly does with me, but I don't want you guys thinking it has to be a big 15, 20-minute commitment on a daily basis, 3 times a day. You know, when your body's telling you it hurts and it needs some attention, a couple minutes on your vibration plate is going to do a world of wonders. And many of the passive technologies that you can combine in your idle hours anyways. And if you've made an improvement and you've progressed and things have improved, don't stop doing the good work. You know, often we improve our situation and we stop doing the things that got us into that situation because we think we're better now, and then you pay for it. So if you've gotten into a groove and you've improved your situation with your symptoms for MS, be mindful and keep doing them to maintain and not, you know, have the setbacks down the road. I hope that makes sense. I do not know if Pam or Gail have any questions for me, or if anyone else does. As I mentioned earlier, if you do have a question for me that you'd like me to answer live, make sure that you're joining me from the main Life Pro page on Facebook, not the VIP group. If you're commenting on the share, I won't see the comments on this end. So hop over to the Life Pro main page. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that because we are on about a minute delay. For those of you that are watching this on a recorded basis, if you do have questions, you're just getting started, there's all kinds of things. If you use the search function in the VIP group, you will be amazed at what may come up. If you're looking for something specific from me, or you would like me to answer something specific, tag me at Debby with a Y. Often there's a flurry of discussions that happen after the fact in the group. And if it's just a notification, I don't want you getting buried. So make sure you tag me, and I'll for sure know to come over, and I'll get an answer back to you generally by today. So if you do have a question about today's session, MS, as I said, I'm going to drop some links back here that I've done on past sessions and an MS-friendly routine. that pretty much anyone should be able to perform if you are able to stand. That would be weight bearing. If you're not able to stand, know that modifications can always be made. Maybe it's nothing to do with the MS. Maybe you had some surgery on a bunion last week and you're just not prepared to bear your weight yet. So there's all kinds of ways that you can modify. It just takes a little bit of time and experimenting to figure out all of the variations. And I'm here to translate and fill in the blanks in between. So thanks very much for joining me. I think I've talked you all to sleep, possibly. Sorry about the internet kickback at the beginning for the late start there. And Christy says she loves her plate. That's awesome. Which model do you have, Christy? Life Pro has so many. I've got to do a session here again soon where I don't have all of their models, but I do have most of them. And I've been getting a lot of questions about sizes, visuals. So I thought I would line them, some of the bigger ones besides the smaller ones, and just give you guys some on-camera visuals. I might do something like that more into April. Well, I'm glad that you're loving your plate, Christy. I am going to drop a link to all the sessions that I've done here in Life Pro as well, if you're looking for ideas specific to your vibration plate, which tends to be my wheelhouse, although I'm a big fan of incorporating other technologies. I've been using infrared and red light therapy myself for going on just about as long as I have vibration plates so almost 20 years. But the affordability, the range of products and features that Life Pro brings to you, there's something for everyone. And as I said, be mindful of what you're using it for. Pick things that are more effectively going to work in your lifestyle and your choices than what I may say is the best thing to be using. You've got a blue one. You've probably got the waiver. The basic model oscillating is waiver. And I will send some links over to you, Christy. If you're new in the group and you're new to a vibration plate, just like any activity, if you are dealing with any medical concerns, I tend to support a lot of acute and chronic issues. So 9 times out of 10, what's coming out of my mouth is completely at odds of what is in your manual. But when you're dealing with a medical issue, MS, different things, you're dealing with a different body, and sometimes it just takes a different approach. But the approach is there. It just takes a little bit of time, like I say, to understand what's the best fit for you. So thank you for joining me today. I will get some of those examples posted, Christy. So glad you made it over here, Pam. And Pam just joined us, like I say, this morning, and I'd love to hear how she's loving her plate. Gail, I know you've been here before. I know you love your plate, and thank you for joining me today. Don't work too hard, guys. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you again very soon.